Hello there. This is your commissioner of the Houses and Blouses Football League, Year 2. I'm obviously in my referee attire, which means I clearly am not going to get anything wrong at all. Um, you saw in the real football game between the Steelers and the Bengals how often referees get everything correct. So, looking forward to sharing with you our first bit of fantasy football power rankings now because ESPN decided that they're not going to offer that this year. This time last year, I would have put out midweek something about everyone's power ranks and where they rank, but that is not going to happen this year with ESPN. So I had to be a little bit more creative. So let's follow me over here, and there we go. Nice and fancy. We're going to start here at the bottom. We're going to start with the team in 14th place. This is going to be the Cuppers, the 2 Olivers, 1 Cuppers. They have a good score, actually, 129 points. Isn't too bad with 2 weeks in. And it's definitely a team that's on the rise. They had a little bit of difficulty getting a tight end in week 1. But they seem to be on the right track now. And I'm sure they don't like being ranked number 14 after such lofty expectations at the start of the year, but they just ran into a buzzsaw versus the password is tacos, and really the tacos let them have it. Honestly, it was just a drubbing. They've got a big matchup with You and You Get Nakeds coming up here this coming week in a game that the Olivers have to win. In 13th place is going to currently be the expansion team. I moved to play-in briefs. Well, I'll tell you, Drew, not only is Brock Osweiler your starting quarterback, which in itself should be minus like 10 points. The Danny Woodhead, who's one of your starting running backs, is now on injured reserve. It doesn't look good for the expansion team. Sometimes expansion teams, they just can't quite seem to get ahead. The Cleveland Browns of, 1999 are a good example of this. And hopefully it gets better, but you got a date with a pretty mad Hot Snakes team, so we'll see how we get along there coming up here this coming week. Unfortunately, all the way down in 12th is going to be the Housewives, the Real Housewives of Lebanon. Injuries are mounting for the team that has, the average age of their team is about 100. We mentioned that back at the start of the year. Arian Foster, who I don't think has played a full year since 2004, is now out for a couple weeks. And the team of old men is just starting to really drop like flies. And they've got a date with the Houseboat Fun Nazis here this week in a rematch of a couple times that they played last year. And they had some really good matchups, and they were both playoff teams last year. This is not where the Housewives expected, and they've got a tough matchup coming up here this week. We're going to put the Tater Skins down here in 11. I'm sure they want to be ranked higher, but they were pretty far down there at the beginning. So I'm only going to jump them 3 spots. I know they're going to want to be more, especially since they're the first team that has beat a Kurt Ellis coach team since last November. So that in itself should really put them way up there somewhere. But for the now, we're going to put the Tater Skins here. It's a huge confidence boost. We're a little hesitant to put them up any higher because of the danger of being one-hit wonders. They've got a big matchup with the Pigtails coming up here this Sunday. And if they can beat the Pigtails, now we'll be talking about a team that is definitely on the rise. Speaking of a team that's on the rise, we had a tough matchup this past week, but the Sweethearts of AGR are going to be currently in the 11th place, just outside of the top 10. The Sweethearts had bad coaching, and the coach takes all the blame for this one. Their bench nearly outscored their starters for the Sweethearts, and that's what gave the Fear Boners the victory over the AGR Sweethearts this past week. We look for the Sweethearts to bounce back. They've got a big matchup and what might be the game of the week versus the Double Clutchers coming up here this week. So looking forward to that game. I believe that's where game day is going to be. Let me sit up here for the rest of it. Let's see, right above the Sweethearts, I think I'm giving everyone seasickness here. I don't know how else to do this. I need to put things on a board or something. Right above the Sweethearts is going to be a tie, actually, for this place between the Hot Snakes and the Freckled Furiosas. These guys are going to be both tied for 8th place. They just played each other, and it was a very hotly contested game. But the Freckles found a way to win. So these guys are very much tied. The Freckles actually won the game at the buzzer by 1 point. And they find a way to win. End of story. These guys, they were rookies last year, but they made it all the way to the Lena Bowl. And looking forward to another good playing this year from the Freckled Furiosas. They're a gutty 1 point victory over the Hot Snakes. This is why they were number 2 last year out of 14 teams. This is a team you just don't want to mess with. The Hot Snakes got to feel sick, just straight up sick. They let one get away. When you have the Lena Bowl runner-ups in your backyard and you are dominating them and you let them back in. The Hot Snakes kicker got exactly 1 point for the team this past week. Robert Aguayo, I think is his name, and he was straight up terrible. He got 1 point. 2 points, and the Hot Snakes would have got a victory. Coming up here, we're going to put the Fear Boners. That's upside down. We're going to put the Fear Boners here. They got some pretty good stuff. And as mentioned earlier, that's a pretty solid team. I'm not sure if they won the game or if the AGR Sweethearts lost the game this past week. But in any case, it was a good victory. And also, Cam Newton put up 62 ridiculous points. Are they for real? We'll find out if they're for real, because this coming week, the Fear Boners have a date with Kurt Ellis. If you notice, his name just says Ellis, and I won't say anything else about his team until he takes his punishment and tells us what kind of team name he's going to be. There will be no analysis for this team until further notice. So we're just going to take that off the board. In fourth place right now is going to be the UNU Get Nakeds. Very good team. Big points from unexpected sources, like the Los Angeles Rams defense and also Phillip Rivers. Very solid win. And they have this week, all the way down here, the 2 Olivers, 1 Cuppers. Huge game for these guys. You can't afford to go 0-3, I would think, anytime, especially in the first 3 weeks of the year, especially for a team, someone who has high expectations, someone who claims to be pretty darn good at fantasy football. The UNUs really have a chance to put away Dave Oliver this week. In fourth place, I don't have these flipped for whatever reason. In fourth place is going to be the Houseboat Fun Nazis right now. Heartbreaking loss to the number 2 team right now in a toss-up game. Treading water until Tom Brady gets back. Remember, these Nazis have Tom Brady that is just sitting here, and whenever he gets back on the field, watch out for these guys. Hurts me to say it, but these guys have a pretty solid team. Looking forward to some big things from the black, white, and red-clad Houseboat Fun Nazis, Zig Heil. In number 3, we're going to go up here to the Pigtails. The Pigtail Zers with the flashy little orange and pink and black uniforms. I would think that that's probably the kind of uniforms they would wear. Didn't really get too awful challenge from Drew Bender here in week number 2. DeAndre Hopkins and A.J. Green are clearly the best 1-2 punch in this particular league with regards to receiving. However, Adrian Peterson has now nicked up one of their running backs. So we'll see how we get along as they go against the Tater Skins this week in what could be a very, very big game. And then the top 2, we're going to put the Double Clutchers in second, right behind the Password is Tacos. The Double Clutchers did a really good job of going down to the wire in Monday Night Football and actually beating the Houseboat Fun Nazis right at the very end of the match there on Monday night. Very good game. Jordan Matthews put him over the top right there at the end. I think these 2 teams might meet each other often this year, at least one more time, maybe in a playoff game. The Double Clutchers and the Houseboat Fun Nazis. Looking up here, the Clutchers have a big matchup versus the Sweethearts of AGR. Definitely a game that's been circled on both of their calendars for a while. That's why game day proudly will be going to the Double Clutchers versus the AGR Sweethearts for this Sunday. Number 1 this week is going to be the Password is Tacos, decked out in their green and red and yellow. I feel like there's going to be some kind of weird football uniform. It's going to be with the Password is Tacos. They scored 145 points in week 1 and 143 points in week 2. led by Matt Ryan. But what was the most important thing is that you could tell she really enjoyed beating Dave Oliver. This team really enjoyed putting the pedal to the metal and just putting lots of points up. No mercy there from this Tacos team. So as we finish up today, want to show you one more time where we're at with regards to everybody's placing after week 2. Obviously, these are just one man's opinion, but this one man is right. Hope you have a great weekend. I'm sure many of you heard. Welcome back, Patrick. Very excited to have you coming back. I'm coming home, I believe is what LeBron James or Patrick Joseph Nolan IV would have said. Very cool for that. Sure do enjoy this. Next week, I would welcome anyone with a webcam to do the power rankings for week 3. First come, first serve. Please don't all jump at once. I know we all want to do some kind of conversing. We would like to have something like this for the draft night. This could be something that we could do. So if somebody has the capacity, obviously just making all this up because that's what I'm doing, would be pretty fun if somebody would want to do the power rankings for week 3. So please contact me if you're interested in doing that, or if you're not interested but just want to have some time to kill. It's like 11 o'clock at night, and I just put Miranda back to bed because she won't go back to sleep. So I was up, and I'm going to be up for a little bit because I think she's still awake. So I put the power rankings together, and I would love to have somebody do that next week. Should be something fun if a couple of us can rotate through it and just find a way to kind of just play around with each other. I think that's it. Have a great weekend, everyone. Until next time, I'm your Commissioner, Mike Derringer, and that means you are not.